she said, listen, there's a lot of opportunity in China. You know, at that time it was like, what, it was 2008, right? So first and second quarter 2008, and you know, U.S. was going through the economic tsunami and all that rubbishness. And so I was like, all right, you know, instincts and everything and fate is leading me to go to China, so let me check it out.
After I graduated from undergrad, I didn't have any plans for like what I was going to do for my next step, and I really like to travel, and the opportunity just presented itself, and I was like, why not?
Luck of the draw, kind of me just following following my dreams or my interests. While in college, I ended up taking Chinese language classes, and I was a philosophy major, which happens to cover a lot of Chinese philosophy. And teachers found out about my interests and were open to like presenting me with things that ultimately gave me opportunities to visit, because I never traveled. I didn't do abroad. I didn't study abroad while I was in school, so this was my big opportunity.
The reason I came to China, originally I was interested in studying abroad in Australia, and I couldn't get into a program that started until next year. So I basically had a gap year already before I started graduate school, and needed to do something with the time, and got accepted into this program and decided, what the hell, it's China, it's close enough, I'm a hop, skip, and a jump from Australia, why not, let me check it out. And my family and friends had all said, there are no black people in China, you can't go there, what are you gonna do there? And frankly, that's exactly why I decided to come.
Experience, exposure. I love traveling. My dad was in the service, so I just have a travel is in my blood. And I wanted to honestly experience life over here in Asia. I'm really about seeing other cultures and adapting them into myself, because the more exposure and experiences that I have, the more I get to build onto myself. So Asia intrigued me for a number of different reasons.
Actually, when I was graduating from grad school, somebody had introduced the idea to a couple of students and myself, and I was the only person that like took him up on the offer. He was just talking about it and said that there was a job opportunity, and I think I just ran with it, not really thinking it through, but I knew I was going to need a job after graduation, and I figured it was the best time to get out and travel.
The purpose of me being over this part of the world is not just being somewhere in Asia, which is a high goal, but to make enough money for this at this point in time in my life to finish my master's program, which is my highest goal. My main reason for being here is to make enough money to pay off my college, so I can finish my last two and a half months of my program. So after that, sky's the limit. I'll go anywhere.
I had some interest in learning Chinese when I think like late high school, early college.
I think I really studied French and Spanish at uni, and I've been to French and Spanish speaking countries, and I just wanted to learn a different language and go to a different country that I'd never been to.
I want to learn Mandarin, and I enjoy living in different countries and experiencing different cultures. When I was a freshman in college, I spoke to one of my guidance counselors. I was like, maybe should I take Mandarin? He's like, well, if you didn't take it in high school, you're probably going to do really bad, so you probably shouldn't. And I was like, what? How? Okay. So then I had extra time one semester, and I was like, alright, let me try Mandarin, let me check it out. And at first it was difficult, but it makes you think about language and words and characters in different ways, and I think that's really, I think it's cool. And so I already know Spanish, and I'd like to learn Mandarin, plus I'd like to somehow get into international business, and knowing Spanish, English, and Mandarin would definitely be beneficial in that field.
To work on my thesis and to see Harvard, and I studied Chinese and Chinese culture in college?
Well, after I studied abroad in China, I knew I wanted to come back to China under some capacity, and I found that one of the easiest ways to come back to China is through teaching. And like throughout university, I did like some teaching programs and things like that, and I enjoyed teaching. I thought it would be a great way to kind of come back to China and also improve my Chinese as well.
So I was a Chinese major in school, and in order to become fluent in a foreign language, you actually have to go to that country for a long period of time to really adapt to how it's used every day. So I thought it would be cool to spend some time in an Asian country. Even before that, I was thinking of doing the program in Japan where you teach English, but China was way more practical.
Well, I have a double major in East Asian Studies and International Politics. So my emphasis was basically on the politics, economy, and culture of mainly Japan, Korea, and China. There are a couple of other East Asian countries thrown in there for good measure, but the majority of it was basically on the population of the area. So of course the most important was China. So after I graduated, I was like, well, you know, I've spent all this time studying China, so I might as well go and see what it's like for a little while. If I don't like it, I can always come back.
Actually, I've been to China before. The first time I came here was when I was 16. And I didn't really get a real feel for China. It was one of those programs that only show you like what they want to show you. So I went to all the major places like Beijing, Shanghai, Xi'an, Hong Kong, but like I didn't get a feel for what China really is. So I definitely want to come back, and happy that I got to.
Something called a Freeman Asia Scholarship. And this was a scholarship that was given out to students who have little experience or knowledge of an Asian language or culture. So when I came here, it was specifically to do a one-year intensive language program. So like 40 hours a week of nothing but Chinese. The second time I came was after getting my bachelor's degree in Asian studies. And pretty much I was graduating with a BA, didn't know what I wanted to do. But I knew I wanted to return to China and experience it from a professional side of having a job, an occupation, and not being a student. And through the help of a mentor of mine at my university, he helped me organize, a job teaching at university. So I figured it'd be a great time to come back over, get my bearings about what I want to do in life, if I want to go to grad school, if I wanted to change and do some kind of career in another area or some kind of other focus. It was just a time, a gap year of me just to, figure out what I wanted. And it went from 1 year and ended up turning into 2 years. The last time I came back, which is right now, was after getting my master's, after working, professionally for about 3 years. I had an opportunity to get a Fulbright, which I am on right now, to come and complete my research of, the Black experience in China. And so the Fulbright is a very prestigious kind of scholarship that is very difficult to get. So when, I won one, it's one of those things, once in a lifetime opportunity that I didn't want to miss out on. So I took it and I came back this time around.
I've always been in the Chinese culture, specifically the philosophy, more so from, I guess, a religious martial arts perspective. I always studying Bruce Lee and other like martial arts stars, and I was always really into them. And then when I was a little kid, I always listened to Wu-Tang, and they really had a lot of different Chinese elements in their music. So it was just something that was always like interesting, an interesting culture, and something that always interests me, especially martial arts. But then my ex-girlfriend at the time, she heard about, my ex-girlfriend now, but at the time she was my girlfriend. I heard about this program. She had a friend, we were living in North Carolina, she was working at UNC. She had a friend that came through CTLC, and she was like, it was cool, and they learned a lot, and she was like, she was worth a shot, and she was like, she was gonna apply, and I was like, shit, if you gonna apply, I'm gonna apply. And then next thing you know, I'm here, and we went to Beijing for the first month, and did all the touristy stuff, and started learning the language, but it's been crazy, man. It's just, and that's how I got here, because just hearing about the program through my ex-girlfriend.